Russia is ramping up pressure in Ukraine's south. This happening despite heavy losses in troops and equipment. Officials say the situation is getting more difficult. Russian attacks are increasing on the ground and in the air. That's according to Vladislav Voloshin, spokesperson for Ukraine's Southern Defense Forces. He says that in the past week alone, 196 combat engagements were recorded. These include direct assaults in Ukrainian positions. They also include clashes as Ukrainian forces destroyed Russian groups trying to break through the defense. Missile strikes in the south are also on the rise, so is Russia's use of drones. Voloshin says the use of Shahed drones has jumped by 80%. The enemy is launching around 100 kamikaze drones every day. FPV drones use is also up by about 3%. Russian activity remains high in several areas. At the same time, Russia continues to take heavy manpower losses. According to Voloshin, the Russian army lost 1,363 soldiers over the past week. The week before, the number was 1,172. This shows a clear increase in casualties.
Despite its own losses in manpower and equipment, the enemy continues to try to pressure our positions. Today, for example, a record number of enemy losses was recorded: 317 servicemen. This also applies to combat equipment. This week, we destroyed 3 tanks, 5 armored combat vehicles, a Uragan multiple launch rocket system, and several air defense systems, including a Tor M2 system today.
At the same time, Ukraine is pushing back on Russian claims that several villages in the south have been captured. The Southern Defense Forces say those claims simply are not true. The ex-spokesperson Vladislav Voloshin says Russia has not taken the areas it's boasting about. He says Ukrainian units are holding firm even under heavy strikes and intense shelling. According to Voloshin, Ukrainian troops are fighting for every inch of ground, and they're inflicting serious damage on Russian forces in return. For now, he says blocking operations are still underway in several sectors. Sanctions against Lukoil and Rosneft are already cutting into Moscow's revenues. That's according to new information reported by Reuters citing the US Treasury. US officials say early analysis shows that sanctions are working. According to Treasury, they are cutting Russians' revenues by driving down the price of Russian oil. And that, they say, directly limits Moscow's ability to fund its full-scale war against Ukraine. The analysis shows that several key grades of Russian crude have recently targeted at their lowest prices in years. It also notes that nearly a dozen major buyers in India and China have signaled they may pause purchases of Russian oil. The Treasury adds it's ready to take additional steps, if needed, to help bring an end to what it calls Russia's senseless war. Meanwhile, Bloomberg reports that Russian oil prices have plunged to their lowest level since March 2023. Traders dealing in Urals crude are being forced to offer steep discounts and slash prices. The gap has not been wide since March 2023. Right now, Urals crude has fallen below $36.61 a barrel, the lowest level in more than a year.
For Russia's oil companies, the price slump will put a strain on their finances and reduce the amount of tax they pay into the Kremlin's coffers, helping to fund the war in Ukraine oil and gas accounts for about a quarter of the nation's state budget.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump says he is ready to back new sanctions against Russia, but only under certain conditions. That's according to a senior White House official speaking to Reuters. The White House official says President Trump is willing to sign a sanctions bill targeting Russia, but only if he retains the authority to make the final call on those measures.
It's always been important to the White House and the president that there's a carve-out in the sanctions package that ensures the president has the ultimate decision-making authority on the sanctions, the official said. So as long as that is included, I think the president would entertain signing the bill.
President Trump told media Sunday evening that he has no problem with Republicans working on a sanctions bill targeting countries that do business with Russia. He also said they could include his proposal to add Iran to the sanction list. The bill has drafted by Republican Senator Lindsey Graham and House Representative Brian Fitzpatrick. It targets countries that buy Russian energy and do business with Moscow. On his X page, Lindsey Graham confirmed that Trump has cleared Congress to move forward with sanctions bill. Graham says the measures could help end Russia's war against Ukraine. The new legislation would build on existing restrictions already imposed on Russia's top 2 oil companies.
The legislation allows POTUS to impose secondary sanctions and tariffs, at his discretion, on countries who continue to buy cheap Russian oil and gas, propping up Putin's war machine. This legislation is designed to give President Trump more flexibility and power to push Putin to the peace table by going after both Putin and countries like Iran that support him. I appreciate the strong bipartisan support for this legislation in both the House of Representatives and the Senate.
US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff will visit Turkey on Wednesday, November 19th. He is set to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, according to Reuters, citing a Turkish source. President Zelensky is planning to visit Turkey on November 19th following a trip to Spain. He's meeting with partners to advance talks on ending the war, securing support for Ukraine, and resuming prisoners exchanging. Reporters say Kyiv has developed a set of proposals which will be shared with other world leaders for consideration.
Tomorrow, I will hold meetings in Turkey. We are preparing to reinvigorate negotiations, and we have developed solutions that we will propose to our partners. Doing everything possible to bring the end of the war closer is Ukraine's top priority. We are also working to restore POW exchanges and bring our prisoners of war home.
Overnight, from November 17th to 18th, the city of Dnipro came under a massive drone attack. Among the damage, the building housing the regional offices of Suspilne Dnipro and Ukrainian radio was hit. Authorities also report 2 people were injured in the attack of the city. According to Yevhen Pedashenko, editor-in-chief of Suspilne Dnipro, the first floor of the building was partially destroyed. This is where a large studio was located. Thankfully, no staff were in the office at the time of the attack. The drone strikes also damaged the Contrabass film studio, which was housed in the same building. Co-founder Alexander Teslenko said the Russian attack destroyed almost all of their property. Regional prosecutors report that the city was hit by 35 Shahed, also known as Geran-2 drones. According to Vladislav Hayvanenko, head of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration, 2 people were injured in the attack on Dnipro. A 59-year-old woman and a 67-year-old man were taken to hospital with moderate injuries. The strike sparked multiple fires across the city. Building damaged included a 2-story media office, an administrative building, transport and private businesses, a car service stations, shops, a restaurant, and other infrastructure. 6 apartment buildings and numerous of garages were also hit. More than 20 cars were damaged and at least 3 were completely destroyed. The attack also forced trains passengers to take cover at the station. No one was hurt, but the blast shattered several windows in the trains and the station. That's all for now. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave your comments below.